Hello, my zebras and spoonies. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I am glad that you are here. Today, I am going to be talking about friendship. Surrounding yourself with good friends makes life more complete and more enjoyable. But what exactly makes a good friend? So, number one, good friends are present. The first and most important thing is that they're there. You can't build a relationship of any kind with a person that you never interact with. Additionally, you can't maintain that relationship if you're never interacting with them either. Now, there's no equation that tells us the amount of time that we need to spend with people to develop good relationships with them, but it is very true that we develop stronger relationships with the people that we spend more time with. So, the first thing here is that if you want to have a good friendship, you need to spend the time with that person in order to build that relationship. I'm going to go so far as to say that humans equate spending time with them as caring about them. So, yes, time equals love. Whether it's an act of service like helping them wash the dishes or you're giving them a gift, both of these gestures of love take your time. And yes, the love languages apply to friendships too. Consider for a moment what the most valuable thing that you have is. And really, it comes down to your time. You can't earn more of this precious coin. Once you choose to spend it, that coin is gone forever. Thus, it really is meaningful when we spend our most important currency on someone. Because in the end, spending time is really spending your life. This is how we spend our lives with our loved ones, with everyday gestures that builds that relationships by spending our time on and with them. So, as a side note, this is the primary reason that we don't have a huge number of good friends in our lives. Every relationship that we maintain costs the investment of time. Our time is of limited quantity, and we have no means to make more of it, no matter how many relationships that we would like to have in life. Thus, we have to choose which of these relationships have the highest priority in our life and give those relationships the largest portion of our time. So, number two, good friends can be trusted. Trust is the foundation that every good relationship is built upon. Without trust, you can't have a good relationship. Trust is the firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Trust is the faith that you have in someone that they will always remain loyal to you and love you. To trust someone means that you can rely on them and that you are comfortable confiding in them because you feel safe with them. Trusting someone means that you feel safe with them. There's no way to have a good or healthy relationship without that feeling of safety. Number three, good friends accept you as you are. So no human is perfect. We're all a glorious mix of hot garbage and unicorn dust. That's right. Take a close look at any of us and you're going to see things that you don't like. But inside every human being, there are also things that are beautiful and rare treasures. This juxtaposition is simply the nature of being human. All of us have parts of ourselves that we're just not proud of and that we wish that we could just get rid of or at least completely hide from the rest of the world. But all of us also carry gold and diamonds. A good friend will see and value those diamonds. They're going to acknowledge the pile of shit that diamond is sitting on, but they're going to feel that the beauty and the value of that diamond is no less for the perch that it's on. That is what true friendship is about. Number four, good friends respect your boundaries. Everyone has boundaries. Those boundaries are pretty much our rules for engagement or our user manual that we give to other people. These are our rules for being hugged or for coming over to our house or for eating our snacks. Part of our relationship is getting to know these boundaries. That often means that we're going to bump into them or accidentally cross over them. And in truth, You often don't know that you have boundaries until someone comes along and crosses right over them. Ever find yourself asking, who does that? This is probably an occasion in which they crossed a boundary that you either thought was universal or you didn't realize you had until they came along and crossed all over it. Here's the thing about respecting boundaries. It's not the same as never crossing them. That's right. Good friends absolutely will cross your boundaries. Sometimes it will be because they don't know you had that boundary. Sometimes it's because your boundary is conflicting with one of their boundaries. Sometimes it's because they're in crisis and they're falling apart. Sometimes it's because you are in crisis and you're falling apart. Good friends will cross your boundaries. Respecting your boundaries means that they will care when they've crossed your boundary. It will matter to them that they have injured or offended you. Respecting boundaries means that they're going to do their best not to cross your boundaries. It will also mean that when they do cross your boundaries, they're going to do their best to make things right. Respecting boundaries means negotiating where those boundaries lie, because sometimes our boundaries are going to conflict with the boundaries of other people, and sometimes we have to figure out where those boundaries should lie with that particular individual in order to make that relationship work. And that means that where that boundary falls can be different with different relationships. So there's just a few things to say about boundaries here. And the first is one that I cannot stress enough, and that is that boundaries are not ultimatums. Crossing a boundary doesn't automatically mean that that person is terrible and needs to be cut out of your life. The second thing is that your boundaries are going to look different in every relationship you have, and that it's 100% normal and all right. It's normal to be comfortable kissing your husband, but not the checkout clerk. I mean, that's how most people feel, because it's a different relationship with different boundaries. So number 5, good friends have your best interest in mind. Having your best interest in mind means that they want to see that you are safe, that your needs are being met, and that you are feeling content with the world. When these things are not happening for you, a good friend is going to do what they can to help you. And what does that look like in action? It means not airing the dirty laundry of your relationship. It means protecting your privacy. It means not giving out your number without your permission. It means picking up food from the food pantry to make sure that you have a meal to eat tonight. It means defending you when someone is trying to bully you. Good friends will act as a sword and a shield. They're going to do what they can to protect you. And they're not going to do anything to cause you harm. They're going to do whatever it needs to be done to make sure you remain safe. And a good friend will expect that you do this for them. This doesn't mean that they're going to sacrifice everything for you. And it doesn't mean that you get to take their stuff. It doesn't mean just because you're having a bad time, their wants and goals are no longer important. Having someone's best interest in mind is about doing what you think is best for them at all times. It doesn't mean that you have to give up anything in order to do that, but you will not intentionally cause the person harm. This can sometimes have a farther reaching implication depending upon the friendship, but there are often times that the friend is affected by social and political events. Having a friend's best interest in mind means making sure that you understand these issues and that you do what you can to be a good ally. This means that a good friend will use the correct pronouns, even if they change over time. This means that a good friend will advocate for a friend's rights to be maintained, restored, or instated. This means that a good friend is for gay marriage and equal opportunity. It means that a good friend will make sure that they know if their friend prefers to be called Black or a person of color. Because a good friend understands that these things are in the best interest of their friend, even when they have no impact in your own life. Number 6, good friends give emotional space. Giving emotional space means that you give the person permission to feel whatever it is that they are feeling without judgment. This means that you let them talk about the dark and difficult emotions. It means allowing them to feel the neutral or negatively viewed emotions. This doesn't mean that you will accept anything in regards to behavior. They will accept that you're feeling angry, but not accept physically aggressive actions. Because this flashes back to wanting what is best for you and wanting to keep you safe. A good friend will not accept inappropriate behaviors being driven by violent emotions. Instead, they would want to try to help you channel those difficult emotions into more appropriate and safe outlets. A good friend would take you boxing if your anger was making you feel aggressive. That's giving your emotions space and helping you cope with these feelings in a safe and appropriate way. Good friends will sit with your emotions, even when there is nothing to do, and even when it's uncomfortable, just because they don't want you to be sitting in those feelings alone. 7. Good friends listen. Friends listen to each other about everything. A good friendship means that you can talk to the person about the every mundane things in life. Your interests, the weird book you read, or the strange encounter you had on the bus that has you waxing philosophical. A good friendship is one where both people are given time to share their thoughts, and what each person has to say is valued. But listening is a difficult skill to master. Our brains are programmed to always be thinking about what we're supposed to be doing with the sensory input we're getting. This isn't the best for good communication. I mean, really, our brains are not programmed for good communication. This means that we are programmed to be thinking about what we're going to say or the deeper meanings of what they're saying while we're supposed to be listening to what they're actually saying. So keep this in mind, and keep it in mind that it is more important that they give you time to share your thoughts and that they value your thoughts and opinions in your communication rather than actually being a perfect listener. Because this is a really difficult skill set to master, and it's one that takes time. And honestly, some people are just going to be better at it than others, depending upon how their brain is wired. So, number 8, good friends are loyal. Loyalty is a strong feeling of support or allegiance. It is dedication. It's knowing that you're devoted to each other, that the choices and decisions you make have been considered with the impact on your relationship in mind. What does that look like in action? This means that a good friend will not accept an invite to hang out with the ex-boyfriend of their friend because they know it will cause their friend emotional harm. This means that a good friend would not talk negatively about their friend, even if their friend isn't there to hear it. It also means that a good friend would never tell their friend that they need to choose between them and another friend. It also means not competing for the job that your friend has always wanted when it's just another job for you. Loyalty is the desire to see your friend and your relationship with that friend succeed. Everything you do, everything you say, and all you are is invested in your relationship with your friend. You're determined to be a successful relationship, living a great life together. And here is the other big reason that we can't maintain a huge number of relationships in our lives. With each relationship that we try to be loyal to, we add another layer of potential conflict of interest, which leads us to having to make choices about who we are most loyal to. Thus, like our time, our loyalty comes in a limited quantity that we cannot make more of. And thus, we need to choose which relationships we're going to give this loyalty to. So, number 9, good friends are impeccable with their word. Being impeccable with your word is about balancing the two values of kindness and honesty. Good friends do their best to be both kind and honest with their friends at all times. They can also recognize that there is a value in allowing honesty to fall behind the value of kindness. Does your friend really need to know that they don't bake the best cake that you've ever eaten? Maybe. Maybe not. If they're making that cake for a competition or because they own a bakery, it's probably in their best interest for you to be honest with them and hurt their feelings in the moment in order to help them reach their goals. But if the friend is just excited about having learned how to make a cake and are excitedly sharing that cake with you, it's probably not in their best interest. And they probably don't need to be told that it could be improved upon. So, life often puts us in the situation where being honest isn't being kind. A good friend always will weigh these two values in consideration of what is in the best interest of their friend before taking action. Telling your friend that they're being cheated on will absolutely cause them suffering, but it is also in their best interest to know what kind of relationship that they're in. Telling your friend that you don't like their makeup style probably isn't in their best interest. After all, they probably can't do anything about it in the moment when you're already out and about, so there really isn't any value in that honesty. I mean, you can argue that there might be if you're telling them before you leave, but we'll get to that. The thing is that there's a lot of gray when we're looking at whether or not a friend should be honest or if they should choose kindness. It is important to understand that good friendships will value kindness over honesty. And this might seem counterintuitive, but consider what it is that you are being honest about most often in the first place. Because most of the time, what we are offering our friends is our opinion rather than a fact. We like their cake, we dislike their makeup. These are our opinions, and there are other people out there who may feel differently about these things than we do. And our friend might be one of those people. So asserting that we are just being honest when we are only offering opinion isn't really a good response to causing emotional harm. That being said, there are times that we could offer actual facts rather than opinions, and this should be considered in a different way than when we're considering offering opinion. And the first thing to ask yourself is, how sure are we that it is actually fact? So you saw their girlfriend with their ex at the bank. But does that actually mean that the girlfriend is cheating? Could be that they were closing an account that they shared together, or that the ex is paying the girlfriend money that they were owed. You don't know what's going on. So you shouldn't tell your friend that the girlfriend was cheating. I mean, you could mention that you saw her at the bank with the ex because that part is fact. The rest is conjecture. A good friend keeps conjecture to themselves. When we are certain that something is fact, we can present it and state that we are using honesty. But we must also remember not to use honesty as a club with which to beat our friends with. It is true. Whack, whack, whack. There's no value in that. It is a fact that wearing masks reduces the spread of respiratory-borne illnesses such as COVID. However, that being a fact does not give us the right to say this to our friend every time we see them not wearing a mask, nor does it give us the right to demand that they always wear a mask. Honestly, this doesn't serve the relationship when it's wielded in this fashion. Despite facts, there will be times that we will have a difference of opinions with our friends. And sometimes it's not about whether or not something's true, it's about the implications of that fact and what that fact means in context of our greater lives. And in these situations, this is the time to use honesty to express our feelings and to set good boundaries. Good friends state the facts, then express their feelings, and then mark the boundary. This means that a good friend would state that masks reduce the transmission of COVID. Then they would state their feelings. I am not comfortable being around you when you aren't wearing a mask. And then they would close with the boundary being drawn. Because of that, you will need to wear a mask when you come to my house, or I will not allow you to visit. That is how good friends use honesty in the context of kindness. So sorry that this section is so long, but I think that this is an area where my friendship many friendships struggle and that it is often a breaking point for many relationships because there's always a balance between kindness and honesty that has to be properly maintained in order for any relationship to properly thrive. And I think that this is an area that is often overlooked in many of our relationships. So, number 10, good friends are supportive. Good friends will cheer you on when you're trying out something new or going for that intimidating job interview. They will also be there for you when you have a loss or fail to reach your goals. Being a good friend means doing what you can to lift the other person up. This means reminding them that they're still an amazing person even though they didn't get the job. It means providing them emotional support even when you don't understand why they're suffering. Because the truth is that we often don't fully understand the perspective or lived experience of the other person, but that doesn't mean that we can't have empathy for them. Even if the death of a dog wouldn't cause you to feel personal sorrow, doesn't mean that you can't empathize with the feeling of sorrow itself. That's what friendship is all about. Doing your best to understand what the other person is going through and having an empathetic response to their situation. There are many ways to provide a person with support. Sometimes it means helping them out by lending them the money when you have it. Other times it means giving them a ride. It can also mean going to a doctor's appointment so they don't have to go alone. Providing a friend support means helping that friend to keep from yielding or losing courage and to provide comfort in difficult times. That means providing support can be as simple as sitting in the same room as someone else in silence. Number 11, good friendships are not competitive. A good friendship will recognize that one person can be awesome and that in no way precludes another person also being awesome in their own way. Instead, it is about ensuring that both people in that friendship can achieve their own kind of awesomeness. It won't be about who is reaching life milestones and who isn't. It won't be about comparing who has a better life, and it won't be about who is struggling the most. In a good relationship, it will simply be about accepting that there is plenty of room for both people to be either achieving or failing, or to be excelling or suffering. And each person is simply allowed to be wherever they are in life without comparison or judgment. A good friendship recognizes that everyone lives a unique life that looks different than everyone else's life. And lastly, number 12, good friendships are reciprocal. A good friendship is one that goes both ways. Everything that a good friend does should be happening in both directions. When friendships are at their best, it is when both people in that friendship is a good friend to the other person. While good friendships don't keep score, there is an awareness and a confidence that there is an equity in that relationship. And it is important to note that I use equity here and not equality. Having a good friendship doesn't mean that both people will do exactly the same things for each other. It means that they will both be giving into the relationship in a meaningful and helpful way. So that means that friend A always driving to friend B's house who is homebound to make sure that they have company while friend B provides emotional support is a good, equitable friendship. Each person is contributing to that relationship in a different way, but both people are getting benefit from the relationship. That's what makes it a good relationship. Both parties are getting benefits from the relationship. The thing to keep in mind is that there is no magical equation to use to calculate what a good friendship should look like. Every person is their own unique combination of magical star sprinkles and atomic hot shit. Because of that, combining any two together will be as unique of a mixture as the original strangeness was. People are complicated and are also all the relationships that we have. So, when you're evaluating a relationship as good, consider these things. Do you feel safe with them? Do you enjoy being around them and value your time that you spend with them? Do you feel that your needs are being met? Do you appreciate them and feel appreciated? Are you able to work out your conflicts with them? And do you feel comfortable talking to them when there's a problem or they did something that bothered you? Are you comfortable in your own skin when you're spending time with them? Can you be yourself? Um, and can you maintain a sense of yourself as a separate person when you're spending time with them? Because all of those are good signs that you're in a good relationship. So, in conclusion, that's about all my rambling on friendships I have for today. I am sure that there's plenty more that could be said on this topic because it is complicated. But I feel like these are the core principles. So, thanks for coming and spending time with me. If you like the video, please click the like button. It really does help. And consider seeing some of my other videos. And until we talk again, you guys take care of yourselves. Bye.